Welcome. In this video, I'll be discussing purchasing bakery supplies. Bakery products can be divided into two main categories. We'll first start with our finished products. There are so many convenient products out there. Not everyone is able to have a full bake shop within their operation, so these are examples of the different bread items that are available already pre-made for you. In addition, there are an endless amount of desserts and you'll notice as far as even a wedding cake being prepared, to individual petit fours. All of these are convenience products that can be purchased at many local grocery stores. There's also specific convenience ingredients here that get you 95% of the way there. Check out these cookies on the bottom here. These are frozen, already in what we call these hockey pucks, to where you can just pull them out. They're individually quick frozen, put them right on a tray, and bake them off. Everything is machine made and made exactly the same. You'll notice even puff pastry sheets. If you've ever made croissant dough, I know you all have, either in baking one or in culinary too. You've made a croissant dough. That had 3 turns on it. A puff pastry sheet has 1,000 different layers. It is an immense product. There is also things like your individual pie shells already made but not quite baked. So again, the convenience ingredients here are almost fully prepared, but getting you, again, about 90% of the way. So the convenience ingredients, as far as the prepared ingredients, we'll talk about that next week when we get into the specific bakery category. For this week, I want to cover the dry goods that are found within these baking ingredients. Flour is considered a dry good, even though it is in the baking aisle. We will still classify it and group it with all other products that do not need to be refrigerated. So let's first learn about what these are, recap what these different ingredients are, then we'll talk about purchasing them. So flour, you have again the wheat kernel. All wheat flours will come from this wheat kernel. The outside bran layer is left on for the whole wheat, otherwise it's removed for any of your white wheat flours, leaving just the germ and endosperm. For your wheat flours, remember you're talking all-purpose flour, bread flour, pastry flour, cake flour, high gluten, and double O flour. These all fall under the wheat flour category because they're all produced from the wheat kernel itself. Most of these flours are used in large quantities in commercial operations and will be purchased in 50-pound bags or 2 25-pound bags. Composite flours, then, on the other hand, are usually purchased in much smaller quantities. I typically will get our composite flours from the grocery store. Corn flour, rice flour, oat flour, rye flour, potato flour, coconut flour, tapioca flour. You name it, there is a flour that is ground out of it. Again, I usually need those in much smaller quantities. I definitely would not want to purchase 50 pounds of hazelnut flour, and some of these flours don't have as long of a shelf life. Moving on to sweeteners. Let's start with the main one, which is going to be sugar. Sugar comes from the sugar cane or sugar beet. Granulated sugar by far is the most common sugar used and comes in a 50-pound bag or again 2 25-pound bags. Granulated sugar is what is referred to whenever sugar is listed in a recipe without any specific type indicated. The raw or turbinado sugar is the closest we'll get to a unrefined sugar. Once sugar goes through the refinement process, here's a great picture you'll see is your granulated sugar. Adding a little bit more of the molasses back into it now that, again, when it goes through that refining, molasses separates out from your granulated sugar. You add a little bit more and you get your light brown sugar. More molasses and you'll get a dark brown sugar, so it has that distinct burnt flavor to it. If you were to take your granulated sugar and pulse it in a food processor, just about two or three times, you'll get a superfine sugar. This is just a very finely granulated sugar that's used to maybe crystallize pansies or some other decorative work. Pulse it several more times and you'll start to get a powdered sugar. 4x and 6x are what's used to make powdered donuts. It doesn't dissolve directly onto the product versus the 10x. 10x is super, super finely ground and actually has cornstarch mixed in with it. Typically, your 10x sugar is supposed to be used in commercial operations and are sold in 2-pound bags. Both brown sugar as well as 10x sugar are sold 12 2-pound bags per case for a 24-pound total case. There also is a sanding or large coarse crystals here. This sanding sugar is what's used as a decorative finish. It comes in a variety of different colors, and usually I'll go to a local craft store such as Michael's in order to find the exact color and style that I'm looking for. Let's move on to liquid sweeteners now. Corn syrup you'll find typically in a dark corn syrup or light corn syrup, both available at your local grocery store or in 1-gallon containers sold commercially. Honey is available in 5-pound containers through our commercial distributors, or you can get it in a variety of different sizes through your local grocery stores. It's important to note that honey is not a vegan product, as it is made by bees and considered a byproduct from those. Maple syrup then comes from your maple trees, and actually Pennsylvania is very big for the honey makers and the maple producers associations, to where we are huge producers of these two sweeteners. Molasses then comes in a 1-gallon container as well, and again is something typically you have for quite a long time. Moving on to fats then. Fats would be something that is considered a dairy product. So your butter and your margarine would be considered into the dairy category, and we'll cover that more next week. Lard would be found in your meat category because it is located in the grocery store near your hot dogs and bacon and more of your deli meat products. So in regards to the dry goods of bakery ingredients, we're talking about your shortening. There's two main types of shortening. You have your hydrogenated or vegetable shortening, also known as Crisco, in your local grocery stores, or you have your emulsified shortening, which is your SweeTex shortening, not available in local grocery stores. I purchased SweeTex for our kitchen, and SweeTex, even though that's the brand name, it reminds me that it's for sweeter recipes. So it's used in high ratio recipes where you have a large amount of liquid and sugar that you're incorporating. Vegetable shortening as well as your emulsified shortening come in 50-pound cubes. It is a mass and must be combined or transferred to a different container with a tight-fitting lid in order to preserve its quality. In regards to thickeners, we have several different varieties available. Cornstarch, which is made from corn, comes in 1-pound boxes, typically 24 1-pound boxes per case. You also have arrowroot, which is sold in the spice section. And for a small little 1.5-ounce container here, you're going to be paying $8 or $9. It's an extremely expensive option for thickening sauce. Then we have our tapioca. Comes in minute form, in pearl form, as well as the tapioca starch. And then you have your gelatin down below, coming in either the granulated form in a 1/4-ounce packages, or you have your sheet form, which can be purchased in 2.2 kilogram boxes from your local distributors. In regards to chocolate, there are many different varieties, and it's important to note the exact chocolate ordered when you're making your purchasing list here. There are several different types in regards to color: white, milk, dark, and then there's raw chocolate, which has 100% cacao. Speaking of the percentages, 85% bittersweet chocolate, 85% semi-sweet chocolate. It could be referred to and called two different things. The important part is the percentage, as that refers to the amount of cacao that's going to be found in the finished product. Also the style. You'll notice there are blocks, there are chips, there's curvature coins, there are coating coins. There is a large variety, and I get the majority of ours from Albert Ooster. Albert Ooster Imports has an online ordering system, and I can call and talk with our representative directly or email him and order a large variety. There's a full ordering guide online if you'd like to check out all of their products. In regards to chemical leaveners, again, rounding out our dry good category here, we're going to be talking about our baking soda, baking powder, and baking ammonia. I'm going to start with baking ammonia, as this is a very rare product. I have found it at King Arthur Flowers at kingarthurflower.com. Ammonia carbonate, this baking ammonia, is just that. It's ammonia. It's a chemical, but it's used in crackers or very thin, crisp baking items to where It all is expelled during the baking process. This, again, is going to be found in very small quantities at special order stores. Baking soda, though, and baking powder are readily available. Your baking soda typically comes in a 1-pound box, and again, 24 boxes per case. Your baking powder at the grocery store, you might find this little 7-ounce container. However, commercially, you're going to be finding it in a 5-pound tin. Double acting is by far your most common, as single acting is not commercially used. I'd like to quickly take you through the eSysco ordering system for our baked goods. On the left, you'll see the different categories, and I'll go ahead and enter into the canned and dried section, and there will be baking needs. Once I go through here, you'll see a variety of different items that I didn't even touch on. Again, a lot of convenience products, but here you'll have your flour, your food starch, yeast, baking powder, and baking soda. Let's check out the flour and see what different items we have. Only 148 different types of flours here. You'll see the product name flour, high gluten, bleached, enriched, malted, bromated. So many different descriptions to say a high gluten flour, 50-pound bag, $17.42. For some reason, couscous is mixed in here. Not all ordering systems are perfect. Here we have an all-purpose hotel and restaurant bleached, enriched, malted flour. Here again is another all-purpose, but notice this is 2 25-pound bags instead of a 50-pound bag. As we continue down here, we will see some other choices. There's a gluten-free flour. This just recently started to become available. Prior, it was rare to be able to find gluten-free flour just as often as maybe 3 years ago. Here's this double O flour that seems to be increasingly popular. Going through here, you'll see semolina. Here's your hotel and restaurant flour. It doesn't mention all-purpose, but not having an indicator means it would be your all-purpose. Here's our cake flour, a high gluten flour. There again, a large variety of flours, of which I've included several for you to reference on your pricing guide. Let's check out our food starch here. Here's this cornstarch that I mentioned, 24 1-pound containers. However, I can purchase it by the each. If I only want to have 2 containers or 3 containers, I can do that. Or I can get a 25-pound bag of cornstarch. I cannot imagine what 25 pounds of this fluffy cornstarch would look all over the kitchen. Looking at the baking powder and baking soda, here's the baking powder that I referenced. It comes in 6 5-pound packages, or you can get just 1 5-pound package. Notice here too, it gives you a picture of this bag. In the last 6 months, Sysco has stopped carrying baking powder in the tin unless you were to get a special order, remote stock one, that does not split. This has caused some concern, as it's very difficult, it seems, to keep lids on any containers in our dry storage room. But I did need to purchase the bag, and so far, so good. Here's that baking soda that I mentioned, 24 1-pound containers, and again, you can purchase that by the each. While I get our items for chocolate from Albert Ooster, there are still some that I'll purchase from Sysco as well. Here you can see there are chocolate chips, 1,000 count versus 4,000 count. The 4,000 count would be the mini chocolate chips. Here you can get chocolate sprinkles. Down below there's 1,000 count of chocolate chips, and Hershey is the brand. There's also going to be our baking powder. Again, 6 5-pound bags for your $203, or a single 5-pound bag for $37.61. In your price list from Sysco for your bakery products, I've included several different examples for you to reference, such as your flours, your thickeners. Here I've even put in your graham cracker crumbs, coconut, corn syrup, sugars. There's a large variety here for you to explore and be able to reference as you need. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Thank you.